Ladies and gentlemen of the old world, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to this community showdown. It's going to be the Skaven led by Falling Star facing off against the dinosaurs, who shall be helmed by Lord Shaftesbury, and it looks like it is going to be the dreaded double Hellpit Abomination build. Now this is something that hasn't really seen much play since the old days of Warhammer 2. We've seen Hellpit Abominations pop in every now and then in the meta, but overall they usually don't do super well, so I'm pretty excited to see if they can actually do something and maybe get some value here. So for the Skaven army, it's going to be clan rats, pretty much all clan rats, a couple Skaven slave slingers in the back line, just because a 200 gold slinger that is they very easily pay for themselves is just so damn cost effective. I really like the slinger. Now we got Ikit Claw. Ikit Claw is going to be on his motorcycle, so not on the Doom Wheel, just a bit of a smaller target, and is going to be spamming not Flock of Doom, but Flensing Ruin. Sounds very similar, but it is going to be Flensing Ruin, which you cast on the Slan, on big dinosaurs. Flensing Ruin is really, really good at actually killing single entities. That's where it really shines. On top of that, we do also have a Packmaster. Packmaster is a nice little assassin character. Pretty low leadership. You can see their base leadership is actually 55. It does have +5 right now for its flanks being secured. So if this thing gets caught in like any sort of a precarious position, like it's getting hit with javelins or salamanders or a big dinosaur is kind of beating it up, it can turn and run. But for very degenerate kind of backstabbing attacks where you're the Skaven, you have the advantage. There's more rats there. That's where this bad boy shines. So we're going to see what this little rat person can do. Now looking over at the army of Lord Shaftesbury. Lord Shaftesbury here going to be partying with some chameleon skinks. Looks like an ancient salamander as well, and I believe it is a double ancient salamander build, which honestly against very meta Skaven. So meta Skaven is typically a super wide build, a 20 stack with like Ikit Claw and maybe a Jezzail or something like that. Having one or two salamanders poking into just bricks of clan rats, honestly not terrible. So we got one Ancient Sally right here, one on the other side, a Slan Mage of Fire, which is super good against Skaven. Skaven, of course, are very vulnerable to burning heads. The dreaded 0 armor Skaven slaves, and the clan rats, I think, have like 15 or 20 armor. Yeah, 25, so not great. But yeah, mostly going to be chaff-centric. Skin cohorts with the Fire Mage Slan and the double Ancient Salamander, which is going to be throwing up fire here on the rats. And right out of the gates, a really nice contact there. The clan rat's taking over 20 casualties, so that's not bad at all. And it's going to continue shooting. And these things do cause terror as well, if I'm not mistaken, these salamanders. Yeah, they do. So in the late game situation, you can either unsummon them if they're healthy to get your refund, or you could use them as like a terror-causing unit to rear charge into the back of some of the Skaven units. So Skaven do have objective 2, and the other objectives are going to be going to the dinosaurs here, as we do see some Colden Riders being called out, preemptively maybe preparing to deal with the Hellpit Abominations and Doom players and things like that, and also Rat Ogres. So we'll do a little bit of fast forwarding. There might be a bit of a build-up here. We do see the Skaven being very defensive, and Ikit Claw actually rolling kind of dirty here. It looks like he's going to be trying to catch that Ancient Salamander. He's kind of quick, but the poison, the javelins, charging into the Lizardmen battle lines is definitely one of the more dangerous things you could do. It's very sketchy, but he does have 110 armor and good juking from the Skaven player here. B6 are going by Falling Star right now, doing a very, very nice job there. So dodging a lot of those shots. So in the backfield, Ancient Salamander is going to be pulling up and pushing the Skaven back. Skaven doing a bit of a build-up here. I think they want to make sure that the Hellpit Abominations have all the love and support and nurturing that they need to go out into the world and succeed. They finally turned 18. They're going off to college. Ikit Claw is sending them on their way. But yeah, they're going to need a little bit of support because they are pretty vulnerable against Skaven, against Lizardmen, excuse me. The Salamanders, all of the cohorts, and the various blow darts coming out of the chameleon skinks. It's going to be tough. So, more fast forwarding here as we posture up. We do see the Skaven poking in once again. Ikit Claw as well as the Packmaster actually moving in there. But it looks like, yeah, the Skaven are going to be sounding the horn of war and showing their hand. So the double Hellpit Abominations are on their way out. And yeah, these guys are heavy hitters. If they can get you, they tend to just, in this matchup, just get focus fired so freaking hard. But it may be, it's been long enough that maybe Lizardmen players have forgot they exist and just aren't going to bring enough firepower for it. I don't know, because typically in the Warhammer 2 days, they would have a bit of a rough time versus the big dinos. The Hellpit Abomination does pop out, and they are terror-causing monsters. And you know what is actually kind of interesting? I don't think, the Hellpit Abominations did get buffed, as did a ton of monsters with the impact hits chains, like the Kemrian War Sphinxes. Maybe the Hellpit Abominations, nobody's really given them a shake yet, a fair shake since some of the changes. So, I don't know, maybe the time of the Hellpit is now. That would be really, really interesting. Bit of a flank maneuver coming in, red-crested skinks and Colden Riders trying to get around the back of the formation, maybe dive some of the Skaven slave slingers, probably not worth it. But so far, Burning Head coming down there, a complete whiff, so that's very, very fortunate for the Skaven. And the two Hellpit Abominations looks like they're going to be rolling over and trying to intercept the Colden Spear Riders, who are going to get caught a little bit on some of the Skaven slaves here. Of course, the Velociraptors will be able to trample through most of the Skaven slaves, but some of the models getting caught back there will maybe allow the Hellpits to get in and actually get a couple kills. So Hellpit Abomination and the Packmaster is activated here with the Shot Caller. Shot Caller going to be giving leadership, which helps them not break almost instantly like they usually do. And here the Hellpit Abomination just grinding through chaff units, not being focused too heavily, so if there were ever a place for it to shine, you know, it's where it's not being focus fired and it's allowed to just kind of sit back and feast. But we do see Skaven sitting on their home objective, objective 2, while the dinosaurs do have the objective advantage. In the backfield, we do see the Ancient Salamanders also doing some pretty considerable damage. Looks like they were able to shoot into some Clan Rat Spheres and break them and also do some good kind of collateral damage here to the Rat Ogres. So in the brick fight, we do see Flensing Ruin. Flensing Ruin activated, going to be hitting several units as the Hellpit Abomination moves over with the support of some of the Rat Ogres and tries to intercept the Coldland Spear Riders, which are diving very greedily and very deeply for a 150 spear unit, right? Like this thing doesn't seem like it's worth chasing in my opinion, but now the Coldland Spear Riders probably going to move back in, attack the Rat Ogres, and we're going to see if the Hellpit Abomination can get the job done. Another Burning Head going to be activated. That's actually not a bad one. Does manage to go through the Skaven Slaves. Also going to be tickling the Spears over here. So that was a better Burning Head right there, as it does go through several of the rats and is going to, make some rat kebabs right there for sure. So Objective 2 is still being held, and it looks like the Hellpit Abominations, they're happy. They're happy. They're well hydrated here, and they are actually routing off the freaking Coldland Spear Riders. So that's not bad at all. And looking at the Lizard Army, the value trading is pretty even here. But the Skaven do have a fair amount of healing. Both Hellpit Abominations are regenerating monsters. And how much do they regenerate by? They do have the 2 Horrible to Die, and they have 0.10. I actually don't think it'd be a terrible buff to give them a higher tier of regeneration. But yeah, they're actually a problem. Like, ammunition is very sparse here for the Dino Army at range. The Chameleon Skinks are about out of ammunition. We're not seeing Ancient Salamanders. This is so off meta that I think it's catching the dinosaur player off guard here, because they got to deal with these Hellpit Abominations. I mean, what here is going to be good against them? I mean, Salamanders do fire damage in melee, so maybe 2 Ancient Salamanders with a little bit of support could drag down a Hellpit Abomination, but even still, that seems a little bit dodgy, right? So Ikit Claw going to be dropping Flensing Ruin, not bad. That will do some okay damage against the Coldland Spear Riders. Would have been a little bit stronger, perhaps, on top of the 2 Ancient Salamanders, but it's not a bad idea here. So yeah, Coldland Spear Riders going to be charging in, but the Clan Rats are ready for them. These are just Clan Rat Spears, and they will easily outgrind these guys. Hellpit Abomination and Ogres chasing some of the Lizardmen off the far side of the battlefield here. In the meantime, Hellpit Abomination's going in. Oh yeah, is it going to get the job done? Here it comes. They are very cool monsters. Yeah, very freaky, But it does make contact, and now the Ancient Salamanders, are they going to decide to fight back, or are they going to turn and run? Looks like they're going to scatter to the winds, while these Skaven holding their home objective pretty firmly back here. Looks like the Lizards did kind of move in with some of the chaff units, but the Ogres, as well as just the copious amounts of chaff slingers, were able to hold the point. Skaven do have a double cap now too, and they could comfortably win on 2 points here. Ikit Claw, though, this is how you throw with Skaven. If Ikit Claw were to just randomly die to some of these chaff infantry over here, that'd be a pretty big disaster, because suddenly all of your monsters that have like base leadership. What is Hellpits? Well, Hellpits actually have 90 base leadership. You look at feral monsters on Lizardmen, a lot of factions, they often lurk around 60, but these things having that high leadership, I don't know, maybe there's something to it. So moving out our Croxagores, and these Skinks are out of ammunition, so not going to be super effective here. And these are Feral Cold Ones and Feral Cold Ones and Croxagores. So none of these monsters, or none of these multi-entity monsters kind of units here are actually good against a Hellpit Abomination. If you were to put it in its power fantasy situation, it would literally be this. Just sitting amongst a bunch of monstrous units, auto-attacking and healing through most of their DPS is very nice. Although Ikit Claw does kind of get pounded here by Lord Shaftesbury. Uh-oh. Broken 800 leadership. Looks like some of the Coldland Spear Riders were able to come around the flank and get the kill there. And the Packmaster, as well as some of the Skaven Slave Spears, are going to be trying to provide some ground support here to the Hellpit Abomination, which is a good idea. Definitely don't want to leave that thing unsupported. So you're going to see a bit of a leadership issue for the Skaven here, with Ikit Claw being escorted off the battlefield, unless he rallies. And it looks like Ikit Claw might have rallied. Okay, sitting at 12 leadership. That is really, really big. And if he's able to escape, what you would want to do with Ikit Claw right now is literally run him into the tree line. But I think this Skaven player may have rode Ikit Claw off and been like, okay, he's dead. But nope, looks like microed at the last second and just straight up desperation Flensing Ruin here, which is pretty funny. Would have been a lot stronger over here, but understandably, it's a panic situation. You're not sure if you're going to be, rallied in a couple seconds. Just pop, drop, and see what happens. So Chadpit Abomination getting the Skaven Brew. Sitting at a decent amount of weapon strength there, although it is poisoned and very tattered right now. Currently 1100 value here. And the Hellpit Abomination here is also routing off the Coldland Spear Riders. So we do see a lot of lizard units running for the hills right here, which is certainly pretty wild to see the Hellpits actually do something. They have often been a meme unit, as I did say. And it looks like the Skaven are going to be pushing up towards the Lizard Home objective with what appears to be Clan Rat units, Ogres, and then a unit of Eshin Triads, which are going to be very good. This Lizard army seems very focused on Cold One Riders as well as Feral Cold Ones. So the Spears as well as the Hellpits are actually finding a really good opportunity here. And yeah, we do see these Cold One Riders getting taken apart. And this objective looks like it is going to be flipping here. And the Skaven seem to be running away with the game, or scurrying yes away with the game. That seems to be the case here, as Hellpit Abomination value sitting at 1,400. Other Hellpit Abomination going to be sitting at 600-700 value. So at the very least, there are distraction card effects. Even if their value isn't crazy, and they did route off and give like a wall that absorbed a lot of the monstrous units, including Kroxigors. Right, Kroxigors normally will spank Skaven infantry pretty well, but the Hellpits were able to get in front of them and keep them from doing as they please. So Lord Shaftesbury is ahead on value, though. But with healing in account for the Hellpit Abominations, that's going to be a tough one to break for sure. Red Crested Skinks and Skink Cohorts moving up towards Objective 2. Lord Shaftesbury still does have the Ancient Salamander, and I don't know where the other one is back here. So still 2 terror-causing monsters that are getting some good routes here on the Skaven Slaves. Most likely going to be seeing a terror route right now, as the Lizardmen did fend off the attack on Objective 3. So it looks like the Fire Slant and the remnants of some of these dinos were able to get the job done there. Back on Objective 1, it looks like the Skaven have a really, really nice stranglehold on this. Hellpit Abomination is actually approaching its healing cap here, and the Packmaster is also a healing unit. He does have good regeneration, so probably going to see the Kroxigors here get routed off by the Packmaster. And yeah, I just don't think that the Lizards are going to have the mojo to get through here, to get back to Objective 2 and push them off. We're seeing Kroxigors being called out, but they're just going to trade horribly into Rat Ogre. Rat Ogres actually trade very cost effectively into the much more expensive Kroxigor. Kroxies, I think, cost 200 or 300 more gold than a Rat Ogre. And the Ogres will uptrade. It's a good trade for them. Because Kroxigors are kind of less of a generalist unit. They rely on their bonus versus infantry a little bit more. Whereas Ogres don't, of course, have a great stat line either. But they're much cheaper. They're only like 700 gold, which is a steal. So Burning Head coming down from the Fire Slant. Going to be cooking some of the rats right here. Ratatouille. And the Packmaster, could go for a diving attempt on the Fire Slant. But avoiding the sweet Siren Call of Lustria is probably a good idea. Playing it safe and just, making sure you catch up on points here. It looks like the back objective for the Skaven a little bit dodgy, as we do see the Storm Vermin coming in. So the big spear boys, well, not big, but bigger than the other rats. I suppose if like a Storm Vermin stands up straight, they're probably like the same size as like a human, right? Obviously the Skaven are always kind of hunched over, so it's a little bit hard to tell. And massive malnutrition issues with Skaven, except for the upper echelon. So Storm Vermin probably a little bit better fed there. So where did Ikit Claw go? I think he's still hiding in the trees, or Ikit Claw might have actually gotten routed off the battlefield. I think he might have turned and run. Let's go ahead and take a look at the leadership here. And yeah, Lord recently fled, so it was very recently. -16 leadership. That's actually rough. So that's one thing that does maybe give the Lizardmen a glimmer of hope here, is going to be the leadership for the Skaven. All it takes is a Packmaster getting surrounded. But, strangely enough, the Hellpit Abominations with their super high base leadership, kind of like a giant for the Skaven, really. Giants have like 100 leadership. But that might actually be the saving grace here. Storm Vermin cruising up, sitting at 64 leadership. Storm Vermin, I think, base is like over 70. Yeah, it's 70 on the dot, so pretty good. So here they come, and a very, very important hold here. Looks like these Skaven are going to be holding on. They got their greedy little rat paws, and they're holding on with all their might here. And it looks like they are going to hold it as these Storm Vermin halberds do arrive, and that's going to be enough to fend off these Ancient Salamanders. And I think that's going to be the end for the dinos. I know I've been saying that for a hot minute. Kind of looked like maybe there could be a comeback avenue with Ikit Claw getting routed off and still having a Fire Slant on the battlefield, but this Hellpit Abomination is going to dominate these Kroxigors. The Dwarf Thing Menace should be able to run over any of the advancing dinos. And the Skaven do have a lot of capture weight coming in, a lot of chaff units, Skaven Slave Slingers, and also some regular clan rats. And with the back objective here, Skaven are also able to repel the Lizardmen once again with the Packmaster and the Doomflayer and the Hellpit Abomination with its shot caller right there. So advancing on up are the Skink Cohorts with the Javelins. And moving in the back, Clan Rat Sphere is going to be heading towards Objective Dose to really make sure it's safe. But the Storm Vermin, extra Chad Rats, able to fend off the Cold and Spear Riders here, and I don't think that the Salamanders are going to pose much of a threat. Granted, they got some okay value, about 1,000 value on that one. More or less the ballpark of their cost. Burning Head, there was a timing Burning Head there, but the Skaven saw it coming, and, B6s or Falling Stars, a pretty active Skaven player. So I think if anybody's going to be used to getting Burning Headed and preparing for those, probably this player right here. Yeah, no chances really. I think it's GG. We do see a couple Skink Cohorts coming up and maybe some Red-Crested Skinks, but nothing that is going to be able to deal with the Doom Players and the Hellpit Abominations. Burning Head's still going all the way through and doing a little bit of cooking here, but yeah, there's got to be no way. I'm not gonna insult your intelligence here. Packmaster does kind of get potentially routed here, but the Hellpits are going to pull back, and we do see the Cold and Spear Riders and the Skink Cohorts moving up. Nice Burning Head there. That was actually a very, very good one. Skaven getting to the point very quickly here where they could simply win on one objective, and yeah, Lizards are desperate. They're moving up. They're doing the best they can, but the Chad Hellpit Abominations, look at these things still freaking going and almost healing capped, mind you. Very impressive stuff. That was a cool game. So I would say unorthodox builds on both sides. But more so on the Skaven side. 2,500 value on one and then 1,500. I mean, man, this is, what year is this? Is it like 2017, 2018? Last time I remember seeing Hellpit Abominations being competitive. But Yeah, obviously the game was closer at the end because Ikit Claw got routed, but if Ikit Claw had been kept safe, it would have been certainly a little bit more one-sided, but still a really cool illustration of a very different strategy here. And yeah, Salamanders, I don't hate this against like the Brick of Skaven with Burning Head. It doesn't seem like a bad idea. I felt like the Cold One Cav were extremely ineffective against Skaven, and in general, like Skaven with Ogres and Spears, I don't think that the Cold and Spear Riders are that great in that matchup in general, regardless of what they bring. Although maybe against like traditional weapons teams build, having the diving cav with good armor is necessary. I'm not really sure. But hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. We will see you all on the other side. Well played to Falling Star and Lord Shaftesbury. And that is going to be it for tonight. Yes, yes.